MrBeast's over-the-top challenges. This time he'd invited a group of content creators, influencers, and fans to participate in a massive survival event that would take place in an old, supposedly haunted mansion. The idea was simple. Spend 48 hours in the house, completing crazy tasks and trying to survive the eerie, unsettling environment, all while a film crew documented the chaos. The mansion itself was an imposing structure, located in the middle of nowhere, far from the nearest town. It had been abandoned for decades, and its history was filled with rumors. Some said it was built on land where numerous disappearances had occurred over the years. Others whispered that it had been the site of a gruesome murder-suicide. Either way, the house had become infamous for its eerie reputation, and that's why MrBeast thought it would be perfect for his latest video. The crew set up their cameras, lights, and sound equipment. They installed motion sensors throughout the building, making sure everything was covered. The idea was for the influencers to complete challenges inside the mansion, capture ghostly evidence, find hidden treasures, and survive eerie paranormal occurrences designed to get their reactions. The shoot began with a nervous excitement, but something felt off from the very beginning. The mansion was cold, even with the heaters running full blast. The walls creaked in strange patterns, and the house seemed to hum with an energy that felt distinctly malevolent. It was perfect for the haunted house theme, and at first the influencers were loving the atmosphere. MrBeast, as usual, was upbeat, encouraging everyone to get involved in the spooky action. "All right, guys, it's time for the first challenge," MrBeast called out from the front of the room. His usual charisma was on full display. "You've got 2 hours to find the hidden key to the next challenge. It's hidden somewhere in this creepy old place, and if you don't find it, you're out." The group of content creators split up, laughing nervously as they entered different rooms of the mansion. As they walked through the dark, dusty hallways, it wasn't hard to see why people thought the house was haunted. The air was thick with age and neglect. Paint peeled off the walls in strips, old portraits hung crooked on the walls, and the floors groaned beneath every step. A few of the influencers joked about hearing footsteps behind them, but they quickly dismissed it as their imagination. They were there to have fun, not to really believe in ghosts. But things quickly took a darker turn. As the group scoured the mansion, strange things started happening. Items would move on their own, doors slammed shut behind people, and low guttural sounds echoed through the halls like whispers of something just out of sight. At first, everyone chalked it up to special effects. After all, it was MrBeast, and he was known for pulling off big stunts. But as the hours wore on, the feeling of unease began to grow. One of the influencers, Jake, a popular YouTuber known for his prank videos, had the misfortune of investigating the old attic, where he was supposed to retrieve the hidden key. It was up there that things truly began to spiral out of control. Jake wandered into the dusty attic, shining his flashlight around. The space was cramped and filled with old furniture and boxes covered in sheets. He was filming, making jokes about the creepy atmosphere, trying to get a reaction for his audience. As he moved deeper into the attic, the air grew colder, almost painfully so, and the flashlight flickered, casting strange, elongated shadows across the walls. Jake was about to leave when he heard a soft whisper in his ear. "Get out!" He spun around, his heart hammering in his chest, but no one was there. The house seemed to grow still around him, the silence deafening. His pulse quickened, and he stumbled backward, nearly tripping over an old chair. But as he caught his balance, his eyes locked onto something that made his blood run cold. In the corner of the attic stood a figure, tall, hunched, cloaked in tattered black. The figure didn't move, didn't make a sound. It just stood there watching him. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Who are you?" he stammered, his voice shaky. But the figure didn't respond. It simply stepped forward, its face obscured by the shadows. Jake screamed and bolted out of the attic, slamming the door behind him. As he descended the stairs, his heart racing, he could hear footsteps behind him. Slow, deliberate, echoing in the silence. But when he turned around, there was no one there. When Jake finally made it downstairs, he rushed to MrBeast, his face pale and his hands shaking. You need to stop this. There's something wrong with this place. I saw something in the attic." MrBeast, ever the optimist, laughed it off. Jake, come on, you're just spooked. This place is old, yeah, but it's part of the fun, man. Don't worry, it's all just a bit of a scare tactic. But the crew wasn't laughing anymore. The mood had shifted. People were starting to feel genuinely uneasy. Lights flickered, cameras malfunctioned, and one by one, crew members started reporting strange occurrences. They heard voices, whispers, footsteps in the hall when no one else was there. It felt like the house itself was alive, watching them, toying with them. By the time the second challenge was set to begin, the mood had shifted from excitement to fear. Jake refused to go back inside the mansion, but the others pushed forward, hoping it was all part of the script. MrBeast himself, with his usual smile, announced the next round of challenges. But as soon as the contestants entered the next room, something happened that no one could explain. The lights went out. The whole mansion was plunged into darkness, save for the emergency lights that flickered weakly along the walls. There was a loud crash, followed by a terrifying, inhuman screech, a sound that made the hairs on the back of everyone's neck stand up. Suddenly, the camera footage began glitching. Images of the crew running through dark corridors, of distorted faces staring out from the shadows. But the creepiest part? The face of MrBeast, smiling wide as though he were still filming, even though the room was completely empty. Eli, one of the camera operators, screamed. The footage was showing a shadowy figure moving through the walls, a dark, cloaked shape that followed them from room to room, always lurking just behind the crew. And then, just as quickly as it started, the footage cut out. The house was silent. The crew regrouped, but when they checked the footage, it was as though the cameras had been wiped clean. All the files, all the video, everything was gone. All that was left was the sound of heavy breathing on the audio feed and the faint whisper of a voice. "You shouldn't have come." MrBeast, now visibly shaken, ordered everyone out of the house. They gathered their things and ran, not looking back, but the mansion was silent once again. As they made their way to the van, the last thing Elliot, one of the influencers, saw was the faint silhouette of a figure standing in the window of the mansion, watching them leave. When they returned to the studio, they tried to go over the footage, but no one dared watch it again. All that remained were the memories, the feeling of something dark and malevolent that had followed them, and the whispers on the wind that would never stop. "You shouldn't have come." To this day, no one has heard from the crew that participated in that filming. Some say MrBeast went silent, never speaking of the incident again, while others claim the mansion still stands, abandoned but alive with an evil that waits for those foolish enough to step foot inside. The last footage, the one that was somehow salvaged, remains locked away in a forgotten hard drive. But those who dared to see it know better than to share it. The faces in the shadows are still waiting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.